Hello again. Welcome to the decider match. It is MarineLord versus Reynor, a rematch of a preliminary match earlier today. Is MarineLord going to be able to take it again, or is the group curse going to be in full effect? I am ZvT with In Control for this beautiful TVZ. How you doing? How you feeling about this one? Is it going to be the group curse?
I'm worried. Yeah, I can't see him doing it again. Like, beating Reynor once, fool me. Beating Reynor twice, fool you.
Fool you.
Fool you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think that phrase works out for this one.
Mm-hmm.
So we are getting into the game immediately. It's going to be on Kairos Junction, which is some pretty nifty spots on this map for TVZ purposes. But MarineLord was kind of, I don't say memeing, but he was doing some aggressive builds, both the 3 racks and battle cruiser rushes and all that. And I can't imagine he changes up too much, but maybe it's not so much on the nose. Maybe you don't go for the 3 racks right off the bat. And indeed, he is not doing so. In the top left, as the Red Terran, he is MarineLord.
How would you say his last name?
Well, it's French, right? So it's like you don't pronounce like 4 letters.
Yeah. There you go. That's probably it.
Yeah.
In the bottom right-hand side, from Italia, it's Reynor. Riccardo Romiti.
Italian is an easier language. It's one of the easiest languages to learn for English speakers, I guess.
A beautiful language.
I think so.
The language of pasta.
That is beautiful.
Yeah, it is.
Are you more of a pasta person than a rice person?
Oh, God, yes.
Okay. Pasta just rules all. Gotcha.
It does.
The weirdos are the ones that prefer potatoes.
Yeah, I feel like they're... Weird does describe it for us. For them, it's neglected. Like, they only prefer potatoes because they don't know.
They don't know the deliciousness of pasta or rice.
Are you kidding me? Potatoes are great.
That is pretty sad.
Grown of the earth and dung. No.
No.
Pasta rolled in the hands of artisans. Delivered to us from the napes of the gods.
Quite.
Yeah.
Anyways. MarineLord is sending an SCV scout. It's possible, likely, that Reynor is going to pull first, and then if you're not going to pull first to defend 3 racks, it's not on the way, they're going to send some lings out, and just to not be bothered. You get the sight on it, keep the Reaper at home, check again, make sure it's not like a weird roach follow-up rant, and you are good to go as the Terran player.
Yeah, but this time Reynor's showing no fear, and he tweeted out, he said, I lost to MarineLord because I was afraid. He was talking about the potential aggression, just the different openings that he felt like he was forced into. This time around, though, he's just going to do a very normal hatch first, followed by that speed, which he's known for. We'll see if he stays on that, because MarineLord found tremendous success off that triple racks. Like, that was one of the easier wins you'll see.
Yeah, that was pretty quick.
1 bunker, like, he then pulls all the SCVs, but it was originally just even like the 3 SCVs, I think. Pretty funny.
So just a Reaper, no follow-up Marine. Which means no option to kill an early Overlord, I guess, but could be making later on, because I think we are still expecting MarineLord to throw something spicy off the 2 base. He does have that second gas, so it's no like quick third CC. But I'm expecting some type of armory play. But I mean, he switches gears. MarineLord has come back into StarCraft after, what was it, like 2 years?
Yeah.
I think it was. About like a year ago. And he came in full force. He came back with all the builds. He learned the meta pretty quickly, and he can do kind of everything, but I guess he didn't show us in the last series. He didn't show us Cyclone Mech, did he?
Nope.
Yeah, it was both bio. So, and well, 3 racks. But he has also been experimenting a lot with that. But I don't know if he's going to throw it out. Reynor has shown some good ability to deal with that. So far, just Hellions. He did make a Marine. There's just no Overlord to actually kill.
Yep. Reynor's going to let it go to the Speedling phase for that. But just keeping your eye on that production tab up there. We were seeing a lot of battlecruiser. And this time around, not so much. The Viking to come out and kill the Overlord that's not there. But there are actually a couple Overlords now making their way across the map.
He's going for the Marauder, though.
Speedy boys.
Is this the same way that he opened? He had so many Hellions. It was actually quite delayed. Considering the speed at which you can do some of the other versions, like either the Marauder Hellion or the Battlecruiser Rush. What he did was pretty delayed, but just keeping our eyes on that. The Marauder could also be like very hyper defensive. He thought it was going to be roaches, but that just doesn't really...
So he canceled a Marauder?
No, he made it.
He did make one,
Yeah.
but then he started a second one and canceled when he got scouted.
Yeah.
And I think when you see Speed Overlord there too, it becomes kind of like, well, if I'm doing any kind of timing attack, it's going to get fully scouted forever. And the likelihood of that working against Reynor is basically non-existent. So he's now bailing out, going for that bio. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a third CC here.
Yeah.
There it is. And he's just going to default back to macro.
I think that was the perfect timing, too. Like, that is still kind of a nice timing for MarineLord to make it, like, as if this was his build all along, except the Marauder is 100 minerals and some gas that just is kind of annoying.
Yeah.
So that is obviously, like, I think you're spot on. He just kind of changed gears, and now he's going into the third CC, extra barracks, and third CC is scouted. I suppose he could have maybe had that a little bit in the dark, again, if Reynor had not gone for the Overlord speed, but Reynor's guaranteed some form of scouting. Vikings actually does still chase Overlords down with speed.
Yeah.
That's a very slight annoyance. Reynor's been kind of actually very good about not having the Overlords over there to kill with the Viking. They've been back here with the creep spread to scout the Hellion movement. And Reynor is going into Ling Baneling. Will he add on the Spire as he did in one of those games with the Hydras? Played both ways.
Yep.
Oh!
Well, nice little surround here.
That is very nice.
And he's very much tucked in the corner. They're all going to die. So he's trying to maximize the amount of damage they can do before they're extinguished by the Queens.
Even aggressively going off creep because there's nothing else they have to worry about. There's no Banshee. There's not even any Liberators. So the Queens deal with that, and now they'll have no stopping their creep spread, really.
Yes, that is going to be the big cost there. Those 5 Queens spread out their, or 4 Queens, excuse me, will spread out their creep tumors around the peripheral of the creep as it is right now, which is already quite good, but it's going to get out of hand. And back at home for Mr. MarineLord, we were seeing again just the normal fixings of bio. The other cost of this is that taking that third aggressively is doable because you have stuff that floats, but it's a little bit more risky, right? Like the Lings, if they pick off a tank or two and get a full surround on the bio before your medevacs get out, you're in a lot of trouble. But that timing is coming to a close as the medevacs are about to pop.
Yeah, it can be kind of a dangerous thing to do, especially against someone like Reynor who could have like a lot of Lings ready to look for an opportunity, but he's totally in the right to do so. Reynor did not make a ton of Lings. He's up already to 4 bases, 65 drones, upgrades on the way, and still, you know, Lings defensively, even Banelings defensively, realizes an attack should be coming, well, potentially coming, I should say. Like, I don't know if it's actually going to be a great idea, though, as we see MarineLord move out, wanting to abuse some of the terrain on Kairos Junction. He will be off of creep, but that's not where the 4th is, right? And that's where things could be dangerous for the Zerg player. Instead, you know, maybe a creep tumor or 2 goes down, but he's going to look for anything else to do. He does not have to actually take that push too seriously yet.
Yep. I get it. It's that kind of Terran push where they're like, hey, I'm behind, so I kind of have to do something here. And he's finding a nice spot because but the Lings are going to get on top of the tanks behind this, by the way.
Yeah, they're left alone. Very awkward. You don't, I mean, he saw an opportunity. He thought he saw maybe an open third base. It was not that open. The tanks will both go down. And I feel like maybe that was more of an opportunity to continue like double medevac drop harassment and then like bring the tanks home, because you are, you know, looking towards the future. There could be some massive tank push later on. Yeah. With like, imagine 10 tanks instead of like 8. It can really add up. But MarineLord is going to continue pressuring with his army. I just again, another misclick. I think we should start counting them misclicks from programmers.
It's interesting. WCS high pressure. And now he is kind of wandering onto that creep here, but he's safe to do so. But this hyper aggression is interesting, right? Because again, it's the same thing where it's like, well, he's got to do something. Because if he just sits back and gets Ling harassed to death, it's really bad. But this is also bad. Yeah,
it's kind of like I would prefer MarineLord to sit back and just be like, yeah, you try and Ling run by, and like you can't. Obviously, that means Reynor would just read into that and he'd like go really greedy and go up to Hive, and that's still bad news. But I don't know, especially against a guy like Reynor, I would have kind of preferred that. So Lings wrap around the backside now. Nothing's coming from the front, but both tanks, one tank goes down, the other one severely injured. Yeah. I was already kind of hesitant about this follow-up because, I mean, what you're doing by keeping up the pressure is you're also not getting a lot of that splash behind it, right? We're only talking about 2 tanks each time. So if you are surrounded once, or if there is an overwhelming mass, like there's not much that splitting can do, really, even off creep. So I feel like Reynor's going to be okay. But here come a couple more.
More than okay. He's doing just fine, this young man. And MarineLord's not going to let up. He is doing a good job of fighting back the creep. That's kind of what establishing that position will do for you. He's just behind a lot in workers. He's done a good job keeping up the upgrades. I mean, it's MarineLord. He's playing really well. Don't get me wrong. It's just he's playing against currently possibly the best European / Zerg, which is often one and the same.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with what he's doing. It just might be, dangerous to do as opposed to like if you're like 180 supply with a bunch of tanks waiting on your 2-2, and that's like if you're sieged up, they're not really going to be able to do anything. This one, maybe Reynor could have gotten some type of surround, which he's always thinking about doing, and could have really just like kind of nipped this in the bud. But it actually continues to hold its place, continues to deny this creep spread, and with that denied creep spread does endanger the third base. But Reynor is going to a fourth and a fifth. And up to Hive finally.
Yeah, you had said this, Zombie Grub. I think what's interesting is that this is an okay idea, but it comes at the cost of being able to do any other harass. And like you just pointed out, the whole left side of the map is getting proliferated with these expansions, and there's 0 economic damage happening to Reynor. So he's maxed. He's going to start banking here pretty soon, and now he wants more. He's going to take the army.
Yep. The tanks barely get any shots off. The Lings are going to look for those surrounds. And, okay, they're going to force the pickups, and that was a decent pickup. All 4 medevacs full here to run back, retreat. MarineLord was getting a 4th base behind this, so there's still that future to look forward to. Again, like Reynor wasn't allowed to just do whatever, but behind that pressure, he was doing the correct things, and nothing was stopping him from those extra bases. So I'd say that Reynor does come out ahead pacing-wise, but we're going to see what MarineLord's late game is made of. Well, this won't be a great start. He loses control of his 4th base.
No. Lings run up to the top. They give some spotting, but we are off creep, so the lethality of this army falls off a little bit. No Banelings being morphed just yet, so a slight mistake. But the medevacs trying to find a counterattack option, not getting any work done over there. And again, the left side of the map's being neglected, right? Like here, MarineLord is like hyper focused on this right side. It doesn't seem to be doing anything for him, which grants the left side all of this.
Yeah, I mean, you never mind the medevac drops, because theoretically they're always supposed to survive, right? But MarineLord is probably better off just focusing entirely on securing his 4th base and securing a higher supply. Instead, he did risk some. He's risking, I mean, he just was already risking a lot by taking his 4th base with such limited units, limited medevacs. He's really not that far off creep, because Reynor's middle creep spread has gone pretty insane. And he is not able to gain control back here to actually propel himself into that late game. He's basically going to lose very, very soon.
28 SCVs have died.
Yep.
Reynor's in 80 supply advantage here from Reynor, and the creep spread is doing the work as well. Like, there's nowhere that MarineLord can go where he's not being spotted. We talked a little bit about this in the first series, but that desperate moment where MarineLord needs to do a big push with the 8 or 10-ish tanks you were talking about earlier. Okay, yeah, but you'll be fighting on creep now because the clock's just been ran up against you, right?
Yeah, and tanks won't be as effective with the Viper possibility. So that's what's going to happen. But defensively, they are still important, and that's why if MarineLord had been able to secure the 4th base, keep his head above water, there was that future to really drag this game out, go into one of those super late game TVZs, but it's kind of been lost. MarineLord has already taken so much damage. Reynor might not be going for the juggler right now, but he is continuing to expand, continuing to creep spread, and should even out Aspire, I would say, for the eventual Brood Lords if he needs them.
Yeah. Medevac gets found immediately. Going to be shadowed by these Lings, but also the Hydras are just going to try to look to bring it down altogether. And now MarineLord, the other, we just kind of keep talking about how bad it is for him, but you'd think he's maxed by now, right? He's been just kind of on the back foot defending a little bit. He's not. He's at 155 supply. He has that whole swath of territory to defend across. It's a hard defense, so every time Reynor attacks, he's not been able to crack MarineLord, but he's trading favorably. It's Reynor that has all this economy. He's sitting on 80-some-odd drones, and he can replace his units quite well, but it's been MarineLord that's lagging behind.
Considering MarineLord was down 60, 70 overall supply, I'm surprised that he's able to get above or back to like 150, even putting resources now into starports and eventually into the Liberator range. He is setting up for that late game. But Reynor is finally ready to go, I guess, with the Vipers. That's what he was waiting for. The Abducts come down, the Blinding Clouds come down, and Reynor is going to take a favorable fight, but maybe, again, MarineLord holds.
Well, hang on. There's like 35 Banelings showing up.
They are. All right.
They are more deep back in his economic underbelly, and they're going to go after the planetary, but not making it there. The splash damage and focus fire good. And again, we look at this, we're like, wow, not a bad defense, right? Well, he's down to 120 supply. He has no bank. He's down 20 workers, and Reynor's maxing it.
Yeah, managed to save all those Vipers, so they are just taking their time getting energy again, and that next attack will look very, very similar. MarineLord, I mean, he's got to keep up with what you would expect, despite being at such a low supply. So he's going to try and take a 5th base, but that will be easily targeted by Reynor. He could, just swat it down and then roll back over to the 4th base and hit him there too.
Well, at this point, the 5th base is the dream. Like, you can defend 4 bases on this map. Can you defend 5? Blind Cloud's coming down, but Ling's getting the surround. All the tanks are shut off. And this should do it. The Hydras find all the tanks. GG's called out, and Reynor is going to score first blood in this best of 3. He's 1 map away from losing the first match, but getting that curse and coming back for revenge.
Yep. Well played by him, just taking things nice and calm. He did not take the vertical 4th base, like actually a lot of Zergs do. You might think that that's like, obviously you don't take that. Then MarineLord does that thing and it's easy peasy. Well, actually a decent amount of Zergs still take that base, but it was a little bit easier because he didn't. So he let the creep spread be pushed back and then just kind of was like, yeah, you aren't actually going to push into me, so I'll do my thing. And that was expanding and continuing to get a very large army. So it's a way to play TVZ, right? It's a way that the MarineLord can play that, but you watch a game like that and you kind of understand why some other Terrans are just doing like two medevac drops and like expanding very quickly to a 4th. I'm talking like 8-minute force or something like that. Yeah, that type of game, you're like, oh, okay, that's why, maybe those Terrans trend that way. Because that just didn't seem to do as much as it looked like.
Yeah.
It was on the front line of Reynor, and yet it didn't actually seem to bother him at all.
Well, this was a tough game. Remember that all those Hellions got surrounded fairly early on, traded themselves out for Lings. It's not what they're trying to do. So the creep spread just got out of hand. And Reynor played without fear this game. He was able to open up the way he wanted to, and the rest of the game kind of went in the books just as you expect it to. My big question to you is, does MarineLord come back in game 2, where if he loses, he's out? And does he triple racks? Does he do something cheeky? We're going to see a battlecruiser? Does he just kind of continue on saying that those things will never work again?
I think you would go battlecruiser because it is the more flexible option as opposed to 3 racks, which is pretty darn all in.
Okay.
You would be risking a lot with that. But the battlecruiser, while it is risky, it does have those openers. It is another tool to distract, which did seem to work out okay. But on a more tilted Reynor, perhaps. Reynor's gotten confidence from the losers series that he won, and then now he's even more confident that he's taken that first game. And even if it was a cheeky surprise 3 racks, he would have a fallback.
Yeah. All right. Getting into the game, we're on new Repugnancy, excuse me, lower left-hand side. Trailing 0-1, it's the French Terran, MarineLord. Not triple Raxon.
Nope. In the top right, as the blue Zerg, it is Reynor.
No big drum roll for us today. Just starting the day off.
No.
We're in our final match of the European side of WCS EU for spring, Group B. It went really quickly, and we'll take a short break, and then after this we'll be back with the NA group. It's a fun group. Estrella, who we had on the Pylon Show, very funny, interesting guy, feels very confident about the group. But then we have Ruff, which if you haven't had the pleasure of watching him, you will see some unique Terran play, I promise you. Young Epic, who's been kind of an up-and-coming player there for a while. Epic, Estrella, Ruff. Dang it. Who's the 4th? Do you know who the 4th is?
No, I'm actually blanking entirely right now.
I don't know.
You watch you struggle?
It's yeah. The struggle is real. It's completely out of my head. And the only reason I even did that whole thing is so I knew who all 4 of them were. I was like, come on. Oh, well. Anyways.
I thought you had it.
You know what? We'll leave the last one a mystery.
I got you. It's Peely Peely.
There it is.
There you go.
He's a memer too. He's funny.
I was like, it's someone who has been entrenched in the system. Like, someone that we should remember.
We should, but at the same time, kind of not. Like, what Ravi would tell you is that he's, like, retired from StarCraft 7 times. He's just so darn naturally talented that he keeps kind of qualifying. Yeah. But then right up until it, Fear Dragon will be like, how you doing? Are you practicing? He's like, nah, I'm playing these other games. He's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, he actually had as far as it goes, like, I guess an easier qualifier run this time. But we'll talk about that in an hour, maybe. It's an estimate there.
A bit.
Yeah, a little bit, as we're still stuck on this group. Looking to see who comes out second And most people still thinking it's going to be Reynor. I mean, we even called that. You know, you brought it up 3 series ago, like this could be the group curse thing again. I was like, I'm going to go ahead and say that it is going to be that.
Yeah.
And,
it's
lining up that way.
There is definitely something to it. It's not obviously an actual curse, I don't believe, but you kind of laid it out when you talked about Reynor gaining confidence. You lose that first match. The first match is the tough one, right? Like, it's the butterflies. That's the... Maybe it's early for you and waking up, or it's you get caught off guard by some of these ideas, and that certainly was the case. MarineLord used some weird stuff to orchestrate a fantastic 2-1 win over Reynor, but it is the kind of stuff where it's like the more time you have against it, you make these adjustments, and I think it's harder to pull off.
Did he get Overlord speed this fast last time?
I think so. Remember, the Overlord scouted a second Marauder coming out. That's how fast it hit, so if not this fast, then pretty close to it.
Yeah, well, he will certainly be able to scout again, and this is unfortunately going to be something... I mean, MarineLord might even be predicting, but it is going to force him to play a totally normal game. Yeah. Any plans of doing a Hellbat attack basically out the window, of going for battle cruisers. I mean, even if he wanted to kind of surprise with mech, that would also be scouted.
I absolutely love it, because it is strictly speaking not the best way to play Zerg, right? And that's like what all these pro gamers will tell you. They're like, well, if I have to go into speed, that delays my lair and it makes my build so much worse. But if you think you're better than your opponent, or if you think one of the best ways for them to beat you is to catch you off guard, Speed Overlord is, it's in 2 matchups, ZvP and ZvT, is one of the best things you can do. You can't hide anything. Yeah, you'll kill a couple Overlords, but they will absolutely scout everything.
Agreed. It's not just that it's 100-100, but it's all that time spent in gas of the drones. But yeah, if you think you got the better edge, if they also don't expect them to go for like a really fast 3rd CC, in which case you might be like, oh shoot, like now I'm even farther behind. It's a pretty nice thing to go for. And it's not that. It was actually going to be a... I thought it was going to be a Hellion drop, but then I saw some Widow Mines, so maybe some Hellion distraction while the Widow Mines go to the natural. They do one-shot drones, just like probes, but it's just such a... I guess with the Queen being able to defend, right? It's just not as potent usually in this matchup.
And a Spore Caller is more common than a cannon or something like that.
Yeah, okay, 3, not bad. Ling's also being quite quick. Yeah, there's a bunch of different reasons, but he does save the medevac. Unfortunately, the Hellions didn't find any juicy shots, and actually one of them will die here.
Yeah, and critically the Reaper, which is what kind of keeps them safe against Lings. So it could just end up being that thing again where he's going to lose his ability to stop Reynor from going crazy on creep spread. I've asked Terran players a few times about Widow Mine drop, because against Zerg in particular, I never see it really connect for this massive thing. And the answer I usually get from a lot of these guys is that it's a little bit low risk, high reward. So no, it very often doesn't yield anything, but your investment into it's not bad. And if you do get that amazing shot that clears out a mineral line and kills 15 drones, it's not quite as bad for like when it happens to Protoss, but it's way up there, right? Like, that's huge. So it's worth trying. It's a little bit risky, but it's worth trying. Yeah.
I mean, I like seeing Hellion drops occasionally, but this is kind of a map for that. And then Liberators would be your other harassment choice from that starport. But I don't know, unless you're like TY, actually microing that, plus your Hellions, plus macroing is quite difficult. Where the Widow Mines are kind of set it and forget it. Like, they get a shot, they don't, oh well, you move on. But the medevac is still alive, so he's going to keep up the pressure, even with some, well, I guess they will have stim, but they're not exactly the, like, beefiest Marines on that medevac. No. There's something. It's something.
It's just another, like, aggressive scout, right? He'll see, hopefully, a layer timing and what kind of shape we see from Reynor, but also, you know, weird stuff happens there, too. Like, they don't pay attention. They don't immediately pull the drones. Stim Marines kill, like, 6 drones real quickly. It's a big move, and it's very safe at this stage too, right? Like, the likelihood of that medevac dying real quickly is... Yeah. It should not exist.
It's just also such a surprise. I mean, maybe it's 7 minutes with 2 medevacs. You'd have Queens prepared to go to the main or something like that, but you have not sent your Overlords out, reposition them to defend against this. Maybe now that he has lost 6 drones to this, he will be like, okay, Overlords.
He's like, you can still save me. No, it's fine.
Nope. No, you're dead. And move back. Hydras once again. Creep spread has mostly gone unattended. MarineLord, even when you do have Hellions, it's very difficult to actually stop the Queens from spreading creep, but that's usually where you also have the drops and the Liberators trying to catch them off guard. And the Queens are out of position here, Lings as well, so a big line of creep tumors are finally taken care of. That was not so bad there for MarineLord.
Nope, and they're out of position because of this, like, little silly drop. You have to pay attention to it. 3 Marines with a medevac. It's not something you can ignore. They will kill all your drones, or if you pull the drones, that's bad too. So I like these little moves from MarineLord. Behind this, he's setting up a third. My only, I don't know if you want to call it a concern, it's just that, you know, when you face such a beast like Reynor, I guess you describe it as a concern, but like, what is he shaking up? What is he doing? It's, I think he's looking at this just saying once again, like, I'm just going to straight up outplay you. I would even like little things. I know this is bad advice as a caster talking about stuff, but like, double factory, get out a big chunk of tanks, try that on this kind of medium-sized map. Take a aggressive 5th orbital. Something along those lines. This is a great pickup for him. This is all happening off creep, and it's before Baneling's speed, so it's kind of weird for Reynor to even be trying this, but...
Yeah, he got a little caught up trying to take care of 1 medevac drop, and then it became like 2.5.
Yeah.
So that turned around on him. He was already losing Banelings. He was, he just lost like 5-6 Hydras there, and it's kind of expensive. Nice little turn on. This is what I was hoping MarineLord was doing, was going to do last game. It's actually kind of exactly what I was bringing up. You know, the faster 4th base. Not too much, but still, and then more defensive play, so your tanks are back at home, growing in number. So when you do push out later on, maybe they're almost to Vipers, but not quite, and you have like 8 tanks. Otherwise, I say that he pushes out with 3. All right, that's cool. But I was liking the drops, and maybe this will do damage, because this is his 4th base, and there is not a lot of creep spread, so this is a better situation than last game.
This is the best place for him to try and push into. The creep spread has been fully pushed back. And that is a 3rd base that he, or 4th base, excuse me, that he'd be looking at kind of clamping down on, and that's definitely worth the prize. But oh wow, every little mistake.
Wow, really? That's like literally where he's attacking from. So you really think that Ling run bys don't?
Hey, that is the second attack.
There? Yeah, a bit faster than last game too. Yeah, things feel a lot smoother for MarineLord. Like, he's set up here, and his attack, I think, is actually something that Reynor is a little scared of. It didn't have the extra 20 seconds and the initial attack that didn't go so well. Reynor is actually going to be scared of this one.
Yep. He's starting to lose a little bit of health on that hatchery. He's got to be mindful of that. But I think the old F2's coming in, and there it is. Everything's going to be jumping on top of this. The Bioforce pulls back to the tank line. Will it be enough? It's not looking like it. The tanks are folding pretty quickly, and the Banelings are connecting with Bio on that right side. And on the left side, pretty good supply advantage here for Mr. Reynor. As 2-2's about to finish for both players, the upgrade's looking pretty equal. I think it's the loss of gas units that gives me pause there, and that little Ling run-by did snipe the add-on on the factory, which slows down production there as well.
That's, it was very unfortunate that he lost literally everything. Like, usually there's a situation where, like, a medevacs with Marines and 5 medevacs get out, but that was everything. That got cleaned up. That was really nice from Reynor. MarineLord did not quite catch that, I guess, how much was there. Because you can't really ask for better. Like, he was off creep, he was in a concave, he was splitting. It was just too many angles. So he goes back to macroing, but I'm afraid that, you know, because he wasn't like getting a 4th while that was happening, that he actually does still fall behind here, being really hypercritical. But when you're just completely stopped like that, momentum-wise, the Terran's got to be like, okay, well, I hope I had that late game in mind. And now it started off a little bit later, where Reynor is already on his way to a Hive and a Spire. I
also think it gets darker than that, even in the sense that you talked about there was a lack of creep on that right side. Well, that's getting plugged up. But where the creep isn't lacking is over here just outside of his 4th base. So Reynor has this pathway, this option to get aggressive at that 4th on an already depleted Terran player. So it's like, you know, the rich get richer, and the hope for our Terran player gets a little bit less likely.
Yeah.
As I say that, though, Reynor is approaching max. He's being his attention's being occupied with his double drop on the right side. And he is poised to fight out here, but if MarineLord can buy some time, let those double factories do their thing, the difference between, like, you know, 3 tanks, but like 7 and 8 is huge. They can floor armies and slow this game down.
I don't want MarineLord to actually push with it, though. Like, I want him to get a decent count, defensively spread out, protected, so that he doesn't get, you know, bowled over like last game. But he does need to think about, like, actual late game here. He needs to scan and see that it's not ultras first. It's a faster, greater Spire, which is even more of a counter to a high tank count than, like, the Vipers are. And reposition, like, mentally even, right? Like, how he's going to approach this game. Because right now he's thinking, you know, expand, harass, and then maybe ultras, when really it's more about getting perhaps Thors or Vikings or Ghosts. Something to deal with Brood Lords, which Liberators and tanks, well, Liberators kind of help if you have something else that shoots air, but they obviously don't shoot air that well, so they're not really helpful.
Well, to your point, they're not ideal. They're not what you go for. And all this drop grass is good, but exactly like ZvT just said, it's kind of coming at the cost of not knowing what's going on here. He might even just be assuming it's Ultras because he's getting up 4 Liberators at a time right now. I think I saw some Marauders being produced as well. And that has been the answer, but the surprise here will be those Broodlords.
Yeah.
And it's going to be like 6 base economy Broodlords, by the way, which is kind of a different animal too, right? Like at that time, you can actually still just tech the Ultras and be like, wow, it's everything actually.
Reynor certainly has the bang for it. There have not been many skirmishes past that big one.
Yeah.
You know, the drops have been dealt with pretty easily. And his economy has not been interrupted, so he's getting all the upgrades as well, even investing into infesting.
He is max, and I think there's no corruptors out though, right?
No.
Yeah.
So he's gotta push somewhere to get rid of supply, but he knows not to completely overinvest into it and lose everything and get countered. That's the only worst case scenario right now for Reynor, and even that's not that bad because his creep spread's so good.
Drop up in the main, but hardly drop, I guess.
Hardly. Just keeping tabs. Maybe something opens up, but probably not. Second Spire is even on the way.
Love it.
It's before an Ultraless Cavern, so it's not bothering with Ultras at all. Vikings are on the way, though. Ghosts are on the way. MarineLord, I mean, eventually, if you're going to get to 4 or 5 bases, you will get the whole shebang, right? You're going to get everything. But it was kind of worrying that, like, if Reynor had supply to build Broodlords immediately, like, this could have been tough.
Yeah, he's on 90 drones, by the way, so that's a big part of the reason, too, why he isn't able to do any of this. But he's banking 6,000 plus and 2,000 gas. It's a lot. Like ZvT just pointed out, like at this point in time, he's just kind of heading towards everything. I like this passive play from Reynor. You think about aggression, you think about the killer instinct, but right now he's literally on 6 bases. He's getting all of his tech. You don't want this to get too far out of hand. Like a 5th base is being established for MarineLord, and I think that's a little bit too passive for me from Mr. Reynor because it's, kind of letting him take that.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. That could have been at least like scouted and like a run by of Lings.
Yeah.
You're probably not going to get it because it is still kind of close to the army, but now you're definitely not going to. I mean, it was scouted, but I mean, when it was like being taken, for instance.
Look how Marauder heavy that army is too.
Yeah, well, you kind of have to do that, right? Even if there are Broodlords on the way, like you got to have Chonkers there to stop the Banelings from just literally killing everything.
That many though?
It's usually what you see, and then eventually you start leading off Marauders, not for like Marines, but for everything else. Ghost, Viking, Liberator. So I do think he'll start sacrificing them like 4 Marauder drops at a time. But you still got to have that bio. You still got to have some medevacs. But right now, MarineLord, who was given that 5th base, is feeling probably okay. He's not in immediate danger, but he is kind of hoping for Reynor to really like push into him and actually make a mistake more than he's thinking about pushing out into the world and doing something. That's when you go on creep spread. That's when you open yourself up to concave. That's when your sieged units are not sieged. So yeah, you just continue harassment and hope that Reynor says like, oh, this is so annoying. Let me just push into you, and then loses everything.
Well, 4 nuclear silos going up.
Yes, I love it. I actually really, really like this. I don't just like it because yay nukes, but I think this is one of the ways that you have to play eventually. But I say that some Koreans don't do this. But when you add those like 4 nukes in, and you're nuking and dropping and pushing the middle creep, that's when something happens. Something buckles for the Zerg.
That's the plan anyways. But a lot of this creep spread is getting costly here. Here's the Hydra Baneling. Whether or not this is to thin out the supply or it's actually looking to do some real damage, we'll have to wait and see here. And now the top half, yeah, this is what I was saying. I would not grant him this. Like, that's 5, okay. 6 for free, no. Don't give the Terran that.
Yeah. He at least try to do something, but
it's easy army comp, too. It's Vikings. It's like everything anti-Broodlord.
Yeah. Not totally unexpected, I'm guessing, because there has not been a lot of fighting. Banelings take care of the supply depots, and that's about it. We have defensive planetary guarding this 3rd. Not just guarding the 3rd, though, which will become useless after a while, right? But also just guarding that avenue.
Yeah.
Eventually, he will think about expanding to the south, but it's actually more of a northward trend rate of expansion. So we're going to kind of
it's kind of funny.
Evolve around the map.
6 depots died, and it didn't even touch the supply cap of MarineLord.
Yeah, when you have command centers.
Yeah.
Ooh, exactly. So ghosts are also great for that additional harassment because they can actually move on creep unscouted, right? Whereas any medevac is going to be seen by an overlord, any run by is going to be seen by the creep. So this is going to get a connection. Yeah, a very good one. It's going to be okay. It's close though.
But at what cost?
Well, 100.
No, the cost of this.
Oh, yeah. That's it.
At the cost of this. A lot of Ghosts, though, a lot of Vikings. And MarineLord is one of the original Terrans for the European scene, by the way, who actually can control this. I think this is the most difficult army in all of StarCraft to control. Ghosts, Bio, Liberators, tanks, Vikings, like all of that.
Yeah.
Especially the Ghosts. If Fungal lands on all of them, they die for free. It's like one of the most expensive mistakes you can make in the game. And there's so many spellcasters, there's so many different components. It's very difficult, I think.
I agree. I do think it's like maybe more difficult versus Protoss, for instance, but it's still pretty darn difficult against Zerg. Parasitic Bomb
It is more difficult than Protoss, yeah. Storm, feedback, all that stuff. But
yeah.
Kind of depends, too. Like, the Zerg army gets... it's been ridiculous lately as well, right? Like, it's Infestor, Viper, Broodlord, Corruptor, and it's just got its own different components.
Yep. Well, Reynor is taking these nukes very seriously, I'm glad to see. Not just responding to them, but also even moving SAG defense, because that's another reason why nukes are great. They take away creep tumors. They also, I mean, eventually dig into the SAG defense, so maybe a drop later on to do something. That was scary, but he knew about it.
Every time it happens, though, it's just too much. It's
right.
like when people are like, I'm going to look over this cliff edge here, and I know I'm probably safe. And they're like, but what if?
Now, here's where it gets a little like weird, though, right? He's using 5 nukes at a time, which is awesome, but he's not actually banking that much. And he's trying to distract nukes with nukes, right?
Yep.
Like, but this is where you got to go like 400, 500 APM, right? Like go Super Saiyan and also have a drop somewhere, since...
This is the kind of shot he's looking for, though. He's like, are you looking at bases right now? Are you seeing that red dot?
Whoa. Okay,
yeah, I know, every time.
The Overseers are plentiful.
Oh my god, the Banelings, by the way.
The Banelings are crashing in. MarineLord did not have the best concave of bio on the ground to solve that, but he does have still Liberators, a Planetary, Vikings take on the Broodlords eventually. It just, if the bio had not been a concave and ready to go, that actually would have been great for him.
Yeah. I love the philosophy of Reynor in that engagement, though. He's just like, I'm going to roll Banelings at you, and if one of those ghosts loses energy or you put a Marauder next to him, I'm going to pop you in the face with all these Banelings. It didn't quite work out, but you'd be surprised how many times it does.
Yeah.
Banelings just find their mark.
Yep. I wanted to quick check the upgrades. We do have all the building upgrades, as well as working on the air ones, but they're actually...
You also touched on this, Omigro, but MarineLord's not banking. He's got 200 minerals versus 7.5k, and Reynor just remaxed after losing 60 supply of high gas army.
Yeah.
This is like, you got to buckle in. This is going to be going for a while.
He's going to want a bit better of a resource trade than that. What happened in the last battle was not like the worst thing ever, because he did save like a lot of Vikings and Liberators, but he still wants it a bit better considering how much Reynor is mining, but he's actually starting to dig into the hatcheries. He's going to be able to kill this one just with the basic ghost shots, kill the drones. And Reynor is not expanding further, which I think is going to be important soon.
Yeah. I mean, this base, to your point, it has those mineral piles, and that's literally all its value. But the hatchery is production center as well. So if you're banking a lot of money, but you're losing 3 or 4 hatcheries. The Queens also, notice how they're like not around hatcheries. You're not really seeing that. So there's not a whole lot of injecting going on.
True.
It is attrition. It does get to a place where it gets to be valuable. It's also just taxing, like just constantly trying to deflect all these nukes is bad. And that's why you're seeing these landing and killing hatcheries, because Reynor kind of gave up on even looking for them. Yeah,
he was so focused on building another army on the attack, on doing another attack, that he did let the nukes distract him. And he didn't even respond to one really. But this one, not gonna, I would say doesn't get anything. Nope, does not. More Banelings just rolling through.
Oh my god.
Just Banelings and Banelings and Banelings.
It's like, yeah, it's like the third Matrix movie. There's like a Baneling for every man, woman, and child in the army for the, it's just Planetary gone. The Liberators are gone. There's no answer for the Broodlords. The Ghost numbers are depleted. He's like, spread them, but now there's an Overseer, so they're dying as well. MarineLord, you played a technical game. You played a good game. You shocked the world with the first victory over Reynor, but Reynor comes back and will advance through WCS. Number 2, though.
I guess what it really was just no tanks on the ground, no Widow Mines, man.
I mean, I listen. I hear you. I'm going to be the Terran apologist, though. Like, it is so hard to deal with that army. You make tanks, you make the Widow Mines, the Broodlords trigger them with their Broodlings. You're getting friendly fired. It's like, it's such a hard thing to do in that late game. And
I agree with you 100%.
I heard you hating on Terran, and I got to jump in. I'm like, no, Zombie Grove, not right now.
Only Terran played better. But no, I think kind of like in line with that, the hardest thing about that late game scenario is responding to the exact composition of your opponent. Because some Zergs do just go overboard on Ultras and Broodlords, which are perfect for Liberators, Snipes, and Vikings.
He still had Hydras, and the Hydras are clearing the skies.
He actually had a lot. He still had a plentiful army, not like a smaller one, but with bigger, better units, and that's when you need that splash still. So that was actually the problem, not as concave or splits or anything.
There had to be, in my opinion, a self-loathing nuke or two, where literally as the fight's coming in, you don't plant it over there where you think the Zerg army's going to be. You plant it on your own face where you think the Zerg army's coming, and then you land that nuke. Or you get it wrong, though, and the Zerg pulls back, and you're like, where's the escape button?
Yeah.
Be bad.
That was always going to be a tough game. Reynor, actually really nice with that just mass bailing. I know it kind of looked comical, like, oh, super skillful, dude, but it actually was the right choice. It was absolutely the right choice, and he will, in fact, advance out of this group. We were scared for a second there, I guess, but I guess we all kind of predicted him to make it out second regardless, but you got to build up the hype, right? This does mean that Group B of Europe is done. We're moving on to Group B of NA. Well, actually, Americas. I keep saying NA because EU, NA, 2 letters. It works out so well. But it's Americas. And that's what...
which includes China and Australia, and we get them all.
Everything. Yes.
It's a melting pot, if you will.
Yes. And who are the players?
Peely Peely. I remember now. It's Peely Peely. Well, okay. Apparently, we're not talking about that. There it is. Showtime advances. Number 1 in the group. He avoids the Reynor matchup. But we unfortunately say goodbye to MarineLord and Hellraiser.
I feel like with you commenting on that graphic, I am like the display girl.
Yeah.
But yes.
Make me a display girl. Anyways, I guess, are we going to show the graphic of the next group, or are we just going to do it?
Oh, there it is.
There it is. Where's Peely Peely from? Let's see your NA knowledge. Because he lives in America, but where's he from?
But I forget what country he's from.
It's like light. It's like teal and white. The flag.
I know what the flag looks like.
It's not
as well.
Argentina.
I don't know what the country is. This is where Fairdragon comes in.
Serbia. No, I don't know. That's why we need Rovey. Bring back the Rovey.
Yes, exactly. But that group will be coming up next, guys. So congratulations to Reynor and
Showtime. Did you forget?
Don't keep testing.
You're testing me? Oh, because I forgot Peely Peely once. All right, fair enough.
It's all good.
Anyways, commercial break. We'll be back, and we'll commentate some more.